they're just going to quit the business. It's happening all over the country already, and I'm not saying it's necessarily because of Obamacare, but because people are they're retiring early. They're not filling up the younger ones as quickly, and unfortunately, while yes, this is not socialized medicine, like we've tried to cover already before, but it's a step towards it. Anytime you give the government this much power over what happens, they regulate everything, and the doctors are just going to say no. There's stories popping up, and yes, I know it's anecdotal evidence, but I've seen enough of them to convince me that it's starting a trend. There are doctors starting up all over the country that are just saying, screw it, I don't want to be a part of this anymore, and they're going back to doing home visits. And they're doing house folks. Yes, concierge stuff. Yes, it started off with the rich folks, but now other doctors, like there was this one doctor, there was a story about a couple months ago, this guy up in Vermont who was getting crap from the government because he was like, no, I don't want to play this game anymore. And he just hung up his shingle and he's like, I'm going to do this my way. And he literally put a price list on his website at his front door that was like, checks like $15. Because once the doctors themselves get out of dealing with the insurance BS, they don't have to pay as much. Their costs can come down because they don't have to pay all the extra bullshit. Pardon my French. But so again, and that gets back to our other questions about where we go from here. Like we could do these things, and we find doctors. Between all of us, some of us have to have doctors in our family. Start convincing them to go this route, and we build our own army of doctors that work outside the system.
Okay.
Next question.
Actually, last question. Get into two parts. Interestingly enough, the first part is directed towards Derek.
Oh wow, look at that. Somebody goes about that.
If Medicaid has helped reduce your out-of-pocket medical expenses for your children, do you feel that medical insurance, assuming Obamacare, for the rest of your family will substantially reduce your out-of-pocket costs?
Actually, it won't affect anything because, again, I don't have any insurance. I haven't had it for 19 years. My wife and my two children are covered under the Medicaid, which they were before this finally got enacted. So as far as I know, nothing's really changing for me. But personally, like I said, I want them out of that system because I don't. It's going to collapse eventually, and there's not much that can be done about that. They can keep moving money around, but it's going. Like I said, even the government's own watchdogs have been warning about this for years. And I've been hearing it for at least 10 years that they're going to collapse. They're going to collapse. They're going to collapse if you don't change stuff. And now they're adding more. It's going to make it worse. And unfortunately, the one thing that may happen to me and my family is it's going to restrict who my daughter, specialists my daughter can see. That's going to bother me. And I'm somebody who, even though I've had them on Medicaid and it drives my wife up a wall, I refuse to let her take them to them unless it's an absolute, take her to the doctor unless it's an absolute emergency. Because that's how these systems end up collapsing. When you give people, whether it's Medicaid, whether it's some people think it's free healthcare, some whatever it is, you get your subsidies and it ends up evening out and you're not paying much. The more people that are involved in that, without the doctors to fill the gaps and without more hospitals, people take advantage of it. Even well-meaning people go, oh, now I have this health insurance. Well, I'm going to get this test done and this test done and this test done and this test done. It happens all the time. There's a study in Oregon that they've been doing over the past couple of years where they tried this out, where they did the stuff with Medicaid. And because they figured, well, here's a problem. We have emergency room visits. They're going through the roof because people are who don't have insurance are just running in there and they're figuring, well, you got to take care of me, and they'll scoot out of the bill. So they said, okay, what if we give these people insurance? What if we give them our version of whatever they did? I can't remember what they call it now, but they have their own version of the state healthcare system they tried to set up, and they gave all these people. And you know what they found out over the past couple of years? Emergency room visits, instead of decreasing, have actually increased. Because now people who have this insurance go, oh, this little stubbed toe, well, I got insurance now, I'm going to go for it. And it ends up, you fill up beds for less severe problems, which ends up pushing out other people because there's not enough room in the hospital to keep all these people that are, and again, they're not purposely abusing the system, but they're just taking what they think they have a right to because you're told, okay, well, my insurance covers all this stuff. It's going to be a nightmare. That's the problem.
I just want to ask you something, Jeremy. When my daughter died, which I didn't expect to happen, I got a bill from my insurance company saying that it was $52,000. I had insurance and every penny of it was covered. What do you do if something happens and you do not have insurance? That is everybody's biggest fear, and that is why we try to protect ourselves by having insurance. If I didn't have insurance, then not only would I have lost my daughter, but I probably would have lost everything else trying to pay back $52,000. And I hear that that's nothing now, because that was 10 years ago. I hear that cancer can cost $200,000. So what, having nothing, no insurance, is kind of a gamble.
Before you answer, actually that's the second part of this question, so all three of you can answer it. What do you, if you do not have health insurance and you are hospitalized for 3 months with multiple surgical procedures, hospitalized for 3 months, who pays the bill?
Good question. And to Gigi's point, which is connected to this question, I understand that, and it's a risk that I've decided to take on my own. But from my perspective, like I said, I've always, for the past 19 years, I've always taken care of my own bills, and some of them have been big, and I've paid them off. And I try my damnedest to put a tiny little bit of money away every month that is my own health savings account that I've been doing for years. Now again, I understand. Like I said during my introduction, I'm not suggesting that what I think is right for me is right for everybody. It's not. But you, during your question there, what you were talking about, you hit up. There's one word on there that we all need to face and start dealing with, and it's fear. That's the problem. It's because we're afraid. And what are we afraid of? We're afraid of the government doing something to us. We're afraid of them separating us from our family. They're afraid of us locking us in a cage over something absolutely ridiculous. We're afraid. We cannot live in fear anymore.
Hey, Jeremy, if you don't mind, I'm the one who asked that question.
Sure.
I didn't have time to put down my name, but I'm happy to identify.
That's okay.
I'm the one who asked my question. I'm Jason's
Yeah.
father and partner.
Okay.
And I need help from you. I really do.
Okay.
And the reason I ask that is because I hear you, your resistance, and I'm not totally disagreeing with you, with government involvement. Yet your family, not you personally, but maybe your family or your child or children, I wasn't quite sure, is on Medicaid. Educate me. Don't you have to A, apply for Medicaid, and B, I know the answer because I'm in the business. The only way you get Medicaid is based upon your financial situation in your household.
Yes.
A, isn't Medicare free? Medicaid, sorry. Isn't Medicaid free? You applied for it, but help me out. If you're so resistant to government involvement, Medicaid is a government program helping your family. And I agree with you, bear with me a minute. I'm not done with my question. I agree with you that the network of doctors in Medicaid, my understanding anyway, I'm not on Medicaid, so I don't know, is really very restrictive in many cases. And I know you have an issue with that. Totally understand. But your family is on Medicaid, which is free, and you're getting medical insurance for your children. If on one hand you're resistant to government involvement, why are you accepting Medicaid for your family?
I think I actually stated this in my intro, and I've said it once again since then. They're on it because I wasn't given a choice. I didn't do it, my wife did. We're not legally married, so she went out and did it under her name. And I said I hate the fact that they're on Medicaid. It actually makes me mad inside that I have to do that. Because like I said, if it wasn't for my daughters being born 2 months early, and not even, we thought they were gonna be born even earlier than that, and then when one of them comes out and has an issue right away, and when my wife just got deluged by everything, and I kept saying, I will find a way to make this work, she didn't wanna take that chance.
I can imagine, oh my God, I can imagine.
I wanna get out of the Medicaid
What your
system.
bills were that you might not have seen.
Oh, we saw them, but then they somehow disappeared. We haven't figured out exactly what happened with that yet. No, certain stuff wasn't covered.
Okay, but I guess my point is, I'm the one who said,
Yeah.
the question, many months in a hospital, multiple surgeries, specifically your children, the amount of medical bills that were amassed that you would have had. I don't know your final situation, I don't know whether that was affordable to you or not, but should any American have the burden of possibly spending $1 million or $2 million without health insurance if they don't have that kind of money?
Well, no, they shouldn't. But again, that leads to a deeper question. Why do we have to pay so much?
Well, now you're going back to Insurance 101 and hospitalization.
No, no.
And doctors and of course, medical care.
If you look deeper into it, I'll sound like a broken record up here, and I know it's a lot of people, they just think it's some flippant answer, but government involvement causes prices to rise. Government creating the money causes inflation, which causes the purchasing power. That's why prices keep going up. If we go to these doctors if we go back to using doctors that are outside of the insurance system and doing house calls and doing private stuff, the prices drop. Automatically, it has to happen. It's the market, that's how an actual free market works. We don't have a free market in the system, in this country, no matter how many times the politicians on both sides want to spout off about it, we've never had a free market. So to answer your actual question, your original question, what would I do? I would pray to my imaginary God.